So there we go. Okay, so there's a half-hour opening range, and yeah, it's plotting forward in time. Perfect. And all right, there's yesterday. And let me keep going back here. Yeah. Okay. Great. Looks like we have this set up here. So let's take a minute to look at the settings here. So I think the two key settings here were the parameter. So put in your was it UTC adjustment time in there, and then the length of the opening range period. Yeah, the duration there. Yeah, and that's it. Oh, I think I did. Yeah, I think I did change this. Well, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if we use the 1 minute range here. So just hit apply, and oh, I see. Huh. Just kind of, it'll give us both a 1 minute range and whatever our custom opening range period is. Interesting. All right. Yeah. So just three. I made 3 adjustments here, and that should do it. All right, so now that we have the indicator set up, now we can start working in BloodHound here. All right, yeah, so before I get going, let me show you where to get these ANA indicators here. So I'm going to pull up my list here. So you'll see all of these ANA indicators. The ANA ones are all the free versions, and the paid ones actually start with LT for Lizard Trader. And I don't think I have any paid ones on here. And in Ninja 8, Harry renamed these to AMA. So it went from ANA to AMA for Ninja 8. So, but anyways, so where you can find those, let's pull up the web browser here. Yeah, let me go back to Lizard Trader. Yeah, there you go, lizardtrader.com. So another way you can get there is you can go to our homepage and go to the vendors list, and on here is Lizard Trader. There we go. There's Lizard Trader. So if you open up their page there, and then you can always click on the vendor's logo there. Clicking that logo takes you to their page. Anyway, so there you go. There's a download. Yeah, here you go. Free indicators. So Ninja 7. And yeah, there we go. So somewhere in their list of free indicators, you'll find this indicator in there somewhere. So, okay. So now we got the indicator settings, where to get the indicator. Now let's get building here in BloodHound. All right, so first thing I'm going to do in BloodHound is create a file name or a template name here. So I'm going to hit the change button. Just put today's date in here. All right, got the file name in there, ready to go. So let's go to the logic tab. And we'll start working on the logic board here. All right, so let's make a new logic template, and there. And you know, I don't show this enough, but you see the little green triangle button there. So it opens up a little description area. So you can put a little custom description for each of your logic templates. You know, there's a unique description for each logic template here. So, okay, there we go. So, all right, let's close that out, and we'll just pretend that this is for Eastern time. So there we go, 9:30 is the market open Eastern time. Well, I would have thought, it must be auto-correcting for my time zone. Okay, well, I guess I can't do that. So, you know, if I put, Harry's a smart programmer, so he must be auto-adjusting for whatever your computer's time zone is. So, yeah, I'll have to leave it at 9:30. Otherwise, it's really going to mess people up seeing 5:30 as the start time, because that would be, yeah, see 5:30, it doesn't make sense why it's showing up at 9:30 on my chart or someone else's chart. All right, so everyone will just have to manually go in there and change those settings. Okay, now I think we're ready to get building here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using, well, there's kind of two ways to tackle this. We could do a crossover or we could do a comparison. So if we use a crossover solver, that'll give us a signal on just the bar where the breakout occurs. Right, so a crossover solver would just give us a signal on just the one bar here, whereas a comparison solver would give us basically a signal or an output on, you could say every bar that, that closes below the range here on all the bars. So, but if it's, I guess if you're doing a true breakout signal, you just interested in the first one. So therefore I'm going to use a crossover solver for this. And simply put, what is a breakout? Well, you're looking for the closing price of the bar to cross the range, right? All right, let's give this solver a name here. So close, crossing over the open range, like so. All right, so let's see, input A, well, that's going to be price. And we're interested in the closing price of the bar. And input B, well, that's going to be our indicator. So let's go find that. There we go. And make the adjustments here. So regular open. And this is -7:30, and we're just using the default 30-minute range, like so. All right, next thing, we need to figure out what plots are we using. Yeah, I take it opening range, high or the low. Makes sense to me. So we want a long signal if price crosses the opening range high, and we want a short signal if price crosses the opening range low, the opening range. Let's see what else we have here. We have a plot of the regular open, or we have pre-high, pre-low. Interesting. Yeah, this indicator has all kinds of goodies in it, but I think this is all we're interested in here. Let's take a quick look. Yeah. Bingo. Just that simple. Yeah, so anytime price crosses the lower range, there you go, which, price did a couple times today. So there would be all your opening or opportunities, I guess you could say. So, yeah, so let's see, it's just one solver there. And let's take a look. Let's go backwards in time here and take a couple of looks. So, yeah, there you go. So, every time price crosses out of that range, there you go. There's your signals there. All right. Now, I know somebody's going to inevitably ask, well, I'd like to just see the first signal and let's get rid of all the others, right? I mean, a true opening range signal is, supposed to be the first one, and you ignore all the rest, because once price is broken that support resistance, then it's basically kind of invalidated. So let's kind of clean this up and get rid of all the other signals there. let's see. So let's let me name this here. All right, so this one's all signals. So let's see, I'll make a copy of this, and this will be the first signal. And I'm going to shorten the name here. All right, so how would we get rid of all the rest of the signals? Let's just simply use a signal blocker. Yep. All right, signal blocker. Now we need to figure out, okay, how many bars do we need to block, any additional signals for? Well, let's see, opening range is typically on a minute chart. So, let's see if we're using a 1 minute chart. So, all right, hold on, I'm gonna get my calculator out here and do some math. I'll set this up for Pacific time in the US. Well, I guess someone from Hawaii could potentially be using this. Anybody know what Hawaii's UTC time adjustment is? Let's see. So they have a 10-hour adjustment. Okay, 10 hours. Okay, so for someone in Hawaii, I believe they could have potentially 1,260 1-minute bars until the next day. Yeah. So, all right. Doing some quick, rough, dirty math. All right, so the number of bars I'm going to block for, I'm just going to round it up to 1,300. So that should work for someone in Hawaii. And let's take a look here. So for today, there we go, just the first signal. All right, let's scroll back to yesterday. Yeah, there you go, no more signals. There you go, there's the first signal. And oh, look at that. So I need to make another adjustment to the signal blocker. So yeah, right now the signal blocker is allowing one signal, the first signal per direction. Right, so we can see we got a short and then we got a long. And so if we only want the first signal, the signal blocker needs a setting adjustment here. So you see the setting that says block opposite signal. Block the opposite signal. It's set to false. So what that means is when this short signal comes through, only the short signals are being blocked. But the opposite, which is this long signal, right? Long is the opposite of the short. Well, with that being set to false, long signals are not being blocked. So if we set this to true, basically both long and short signals are blocked now. So, and let's turn off all these other resets here, like so. There. All right. There, that did it. So now we just have the first signal for the day. So on this long breakout was blocked. All right, let's go check back one more day. Okay, so we have the first breakout to the long side, to the upside, and all the breakouts to the downside are ignored. So, okay, I think we have it. All right, so we have two different kind of breakouts here. We can see all the signals, or we could see just the first signal. There. All right, let me take a look at the chat board, see if there's any follow-ups on this. Okay, yeah, so here we go. The follow-up question here from Eva is using Raven. Okay, so let's plug this into Raven here. All right, so opening up Raven. So Raven any any add-on that can execute trades, is a strategy. So indicators cannot execute trades. Only strategies can execute trades in NinjaTrader. Well, same thing as TradeStation. So yeah, you're already familiar with that. So all right, so let's go open up the strategies, and we're going to put Raven on here. And so let's load in today's BloodHound. So in the template there. So you can see that opens up another instance of BloodHound. And we're going to load today's workshop template in there. All right. And I always tell everybody it's a good idea to always go to your logic tab and take a look at the logic template that you want Raven to trade, and just make sure that all the leaders are connected up correctly. So when people are building more complex systems and they're testing ideas and whatnot, it's pretty easy to leave like the result node connected to the wrong spot. You know, like you might have the result node connected like that, for example. You know, but this is a very simple system, so there's very little chance that anything's going to be connected wrong. But you know, for people building more complex systems, always take a look at your leaders, make sure everything looks like it's connected up correctly. All right, click OK. Next step, let's set the entry logic. Well, that's going to be our first signal right there. All right. And then right now, the default settings, Raven is going to submit a market order. So if you want to submit a limit order, you can use limit order, set that to true. And then your limit order is going to be based off the closing price of the bar. So you can set a tick offset from the closing price of the bar. Now you can see there's only one entry here, so there's only one entry for both long and shorts. So a negative number will give you a better fill. So in other words, if it's a long trade, a negative number, well, that's literally going to put the limit order a negative 5 ticks down below the closing price. If it's a short trade, then it would be 5 ticks above the closing price for a better fill on a short trade. So, but you know, for this opening range, you know, just to test this out, we'll just use a market order there. Let's see. We don't need enter only when flat. Let's see. Since there's only going to be one signal per day, I don't think we need to turn that on. You know, start auto trader. Well, if you wanted to try and do some back testing of an opening range, you could set this to true, and then back test mode is now available, and we can see it defaults to true. So that allows us to do some back testing, right? Yeah, let's just kind of set some targets here. How about if we just set a 10 tick target, and I'll set a 20 tick stop loss here. Let's see, is there anything else we need to set? Well, no, that's basically all we need to set here. And with strategies, don't forget to enable it. You do have to set enabled to true when running a strategy. All right, and click OK, and there we go. You'll notice I have 2 bloodhounds on the chart, right? You can see one of them, the lower one says Raven, so this is bloodhound that's running inside a Raven, and the other one it says BloodHound. So that's BloodHound, the indicator running on the chart. So you don't need both. I would suggest that once you have your BloodHound system done, you should get rid of the indicator on the chart. And because all you need is just the one BloodHound running inside a Raven. So let's take a look. All right, there we go. Look, the first one's a winner. Let's take a look at some other days. Insufficient. Oh, maybe I'm already going back too far. Let's take a look. Oh, there we go. And there we go. Let's refresh this. I'm not seeing a trade there. I wonder what's going on. Let's take a look back here. All right, yeah, we got a signal there, a trade there. Oh. I don't have a signal here. Yeah, all right, so we need to make some adjustments to BloodHound. All right, so I'm going to teach you guys a little trick with this signal blocker here. So you notice there's an output that says blocked output. So this blocked output, basically it will tell you when the signal blocker is actively blocking signals. When it's, basically when it's actively blocking signals from, from whatever solver is going into it. So, and I like to set it to 0.2 here. And yeah, let me show you why here in just a moment. So I'm going to shrink this. There. Okay. So I can see if I look at this output, I can see that the signal blocker is blocking signals. So let's keep scrolling back. Keep scrolling back. And all right, bingo. So a signal got through here, right? A short signal. And this is going back to yesterday. All right, so yesterday a short signal got through. And now the signal blocker is blocking, right? So that's why I like to use that blocked output, because I can see, I can visually see when that signal blocker is blocking signals here. So it's blocking both short signals and long signals. And if I scroll forward in time, it is blocking. And look, so right here in this bar, the signal blocker is still blocking. And it's still blocking. So I was kind of wondering about that. I didn't think I'd need to correct for this, but this is why you always kind of test things out. Oh, yeah, no wonder. Look at that. It took at least an hour before the market broke out. Interesting. Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to make some adjustments here to the BloodHound logic. All right. Okay, so I'm going to, first thing I want to do is remove Raven. Kind of the best way to shut down your strategy is to use the flatten everything button there. If I use this, it will make sure that your strategy is shut down, but it also has the added benefit that if Raven had any orders open, that those orders were also flattened or closed, canceled, whatever the case may be. So, all right, so now let's put BloodHound back on here. So, whenever you're working with BloodHound, it's always better to use the BloodHound running by itself even though, we have BloodHound running inside of Raven, and you can make changes, you can use that BloodHound that's running inside of Raven to make changes to your BloodHound logic, but I suggest you don't do that. Weird things can happen. So, that's just not, I guess the only way to say it is that NinjaTrader never really intended for an indicator to be modified inside of a strategy. In other words, if you're using BloodHound inside of Raven and you're modifying your BloodHound logic inside of Raven, that's something that NinjaTrader never really accounted for. So weird things can happen. So that's why I always suggest that you put BloodHound on your chart as an indicator and make changes to your system that way. So let's get this loaded up. All right, so once you have your file loaded, you'll notice that BloodHound needs a refresh of the chart here. So let's hit F5. There we go. Now we can see the signals. Okay, so what we need is, hold on a sec. So what we need is basically at midnight or something like that, we need a way to turn the signal blocker off so that the signal blocker is not blocking signals into the next day. All right, so let me answer another question while I'm addressing basically addressing resetting the signal blocker. So the way that you turn, the way you turn the signal blocker off is you reset it. So it's no longer blocking signals here. But previously, Constantine had asked, why was I using 1300? Well, basically, I kind of did some quick math here. So I'm using a minute chart here, and so I know that there is 1440 minutes, right? 1,440 minutes in a day, and then I took basically Hawaiian time zone and kind of basically back engineered from Eastern time to Hawaiian time. Just basically did some math here. So let's see. So knowing what my time zone is and knowing that Eastern time, let's see, how should I do this? Well, actually I did it from my time zone. So so there's where the market opens on my time zone, so that's 9:30 Eastern. And then I know Hawaiian, the UTC offset for Hawaii is 10. So if I'm at -7, Hawaii's at -10. So that's a 3-hour difference. And I basically just kind of, did some quick math and took off, I basically removed, I did a quick estimate and I removed the number of bars. Man, okay, hold on. I'm trying to make a visual here. There we go. Let's shrink this up a lot. So I kind of roughly did a quick calculation of what, how many bars. Let's see. That would be, right? So I know Hawaiian. In Hawaii, the market's open, what would be 4:30 my time. So I just kind of quickly estimated how many bars are in here and then subtracted that from the total number of bars in the day. So, yeah. But, the way since I'm going to have to use a reset. So I'm going to have to reset the signal blocker at midnight. I might as well just put in here 1440. So that's every bar of the day. Or that's how many 1 minute bars are in a 24-hour period. And so I'm going to need to create a solver that's going to generate a reset signal at midnight, something like that. And then you can see there's this reset option here. So, all right, so instead of talking about it, let me show you here. So I'm going to use the threshold solver. Let's connect this in here. And with BloodHound comes this little extra support indicator called the time block. And basically you can use it to, there's a video that'll explain what exactly all the features is this, but basically you can use it to identify blocks of time on your chart, right? So there's a before the start time, between start and end time, and after end time. And you can see up here there's a start time and an end time. So it does have kind of multiple purposes here. You could color the chart before the market opens, and then color the chart after the market's closed, and I don't know, whatever you can kind of come up with. But what I'm going to use this for is essentially at midnight or the new day. I'm going to set the start time right to the first to midnight here, and what I'm interested in is the bar that is the start bar, the bar that includes this time, this time stamp, right? This moment in time. So this bool series here called is start bar will provide a signal that I can use to the threshold solver. Yeah, let's see here. All right, just a sec. It's been a while since I used that. Maybe if I put a 1 in there. So the signal blocker, we want to make sure that the signal blocker gets reset. Gosh darn it. Gets reset when our opening range is no longer plotting, right? We don't want to reset the signal blocker while it's still plotting, because then signals might get through, right? Afterwards. So if the signal blockers say like reset right here, well, if price breaks that opening range, we'll get another signal, which we don't want. So we need to make sure that the signal blocker gets reset afterwards here. And so I know that if someone has their chart, has their data series session template set to 24/7 or 24/5, we now know that the indicator is going to plot all the way until midnight. So so I don't want to use the end bar, which is the end time. So the start bar identifies the start time, is end bar identifies the end time. So I'm going to go back to using the start bar, but I'll do this. We'll reset this at 1 in the morning, 1 a.m. So now, depending on your time zone, you may need to you may need to adjust the start time depending on what your time zone is. So what you'll have to do is, identify when does the opening range indicator stop plotting, and then pick a time after it stops plotting but before the market opens. So I'll have to shrink my chart up a lot here. Man. All right, so here's where the market opens on my time zone. And the indicator's not plotting. Weird. Anyways, the point is that you need to figure out a time when the indicator stops plotting and the time when the market opens, and then generate a signal somewhere in that time span, somewhere in between those two times. Right, so there you go. So that is my reset signal right there. Right, and so I've got the threshold solver connected into the result node. Right, so that way I can see my reset signal there. So let's see. Let's rename this here. All right, so we're going to reset at 1 a.m. All right, so now let's take a look at the signal blocker. Right. So we're blocking, right? So we can see the signal blocker is still blocking. It's blocking. And if we connect this into the reset, and now we need to figure out which of these resets we want to use, and we'll just use not input signal. We want to use the reset signal. So reset signal refers to the reset connection here. And now, there. So we can see the signal blocker is no longer blocking, right? It stopped blocking when we got that signal, right? So there you go. There's the signal, and the reset signal is no longer blocking. All right, so now, interesting. So we got a BloodHound signal, but the indicator's not plotting on my chart. That's weird. Well, I'm not sure why the indicator stopped working for today. Oh, maybe because I changed my session. Let's see here. Oh yeah, changing my session on my chart affected the indicator. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, this opening range indicator definitely is pretty complex, and it's affected by your chart's session template times here. So I'm going to put this back to using instrument settings for oil, and yeah, bingo. Okay, now the indicator's plotting again. All right, so you definitely will need to, I guess, read up. Hopefully there's some instructions on this indicator so that you'll understand what affects its plots and everything and how it works. But yeah, so now it's plotting again for today. There's our first short signal. So let's do one more thing. Let's get rid of the blocked signal here. Let's get rid of the, although first let's jump back. Okay, yeah. So good. We can see the signal blocker is it's getting reset at 1 a.m. my time now. Yeah, so back to the signal blocker, this blocked output here, you know, that's really just very helpful for debugging. So once you kind of have your signal blocker working as you like it, then you can turn that back off, set that back to 0, like so, and there you go. It cleans up, and that cleans up the output there, like so. Yeah. All right. All right, and we're back to one signal. And let's just check the other days here. There we go. One signal. Looking good. All right, there we go. One signal looking good. And it's not working after that. Okay, so yeah, for some reason this indicator needs a lot of data, a lot of days on the chart for it to work. So, all right. So let's get back to where we were with Raven. So now that we've got the signals working correctly, right? So bottom line, you know, in amongst trying to get this indicator to work, we got our signal blocker to work as we wanted here. So let's just recap this again here. So, so what are we doing? We're using the SI time block indicator to identify a certain bar, you know, at whatever time is appropriate for your time zone. So for me, I'm just using 1 a.m. And so I'm resetting the signal blocker at 1 a.m. using the time block indicator here. All right. And actually, those thresholds can just be left at 0. All right. Yeah. And then the other adjustment we did for the signal blocker is we just went ahead and blocked all day, right? We blocked for a full day of 1 minute bars. So if you're using 2 minute bars, 5 minute bars, you know, you can reduce this number here. So I just will quickly say that the higher this number is, the exponentially more CPU requirements are needed. So you don't want to set this number really high unless you absolutely have to. Keep this, you know, block signals for, keep this number as low as possible. This is very CPU intensive. Again, we had to set block opposite signals to true. And then the resets, we're using the reset signal here, right? So if we zoom in here, we're using the reset connector right here. So since we're using that reset connector, we're using signals going into that reset, which resets the signal blocker. So resetting the signal blocker means that the signal blocker is not going to block for the entire 1,440 bars. So, all right, so let's put this back into Blackbird, or Raven, sorry. Let's put this back into Raven here. So we actually have Raven already open. So now here's something to be very careful about when you're tweaking your BloodHound logic and you're using Raven or Blackbird, you know, at the same time. Here's something to be very careful about. So let's see, I'm just going to enable this. So it's finally enabled. Turn it back on. Sounds like I've got some construction going on outside. All right, so there is Raven. Now, you notice how, look, the signals are different, right? Well, that's because the template loaded into Raven hasn't been updated yet, right? It's the old template in Raven, right? Only the new changes are in the BloodHound, right? So, yeah, if you look at the top of your chart here, right, you'll see there's a black button. So the black text, that is BloodHound as the indicator. So if I open this up, there, we see the new solver that was added, the changes. Now the orange text, you see the orange text, this is BloodHound running inside a Raven. That's why the text is orange. So that is this BloodHound running inside a Raven. So this BloodHound hasn't been updated yet. So if we open this and take a look at the logic board, look, it's the old version. So you got to be very careful. If I close this BloodHound, it will save this old version back to the file. Right? So every time you close BloodHound, it saves back to the file. So what I need to do is load the same file again, twice. So I want to load this again twice. So there. Now that's loaded, right? Bingo. Here's the new solver. And if I look at the signal blocker, right, I can see the numbers have been changed. So there we go. I've got the new version now loaded in here, like so, right? And you can see the BloodHound that's running inside a Raven is wanting the chart to be refreshed. So let's do that. And there. So now the BloodHound inside a Raven is all up to date. And there we go. Okay, so now we've finally accomplished what we originally set out to do, which was getting this trade signal here on the current day, right, which wasn't working because of the signal blocker was blocking this breakout signal. But now we can see it's all working now. So yeah, scroll back to yesterday. And yep, there we go. There is our signal. All right, there's our signal. And if you want to pull up a strategy report, there's Raven. And we only have historical trades, so we'll take a look at historical. There you go. There's our backtest results. So we can see we've only got, yeah, it looks like we've only got 3 days of trades. So there we go. All right, so let me show you some other videos to watch here. So, because we covered quite a few components here that really kind of deserve your time to watch the full video here. So, if you look at Raven here, you see there's a little help link or button there. So if you click on that, that brings up the help for Raven, the help guide for Raven here. You could also just go to our homepage and go to support and then documentation. And here you go. You can choose what you're looking for help on. You can click on Raven. And so there's a lot more to Raven than what I covered today. And so to learn everything there is about Raven, here you go. There's a video tutorial that will teach you a lot more about Raven than what I just showed you today here. So, all right, so there's one. There's the video on Raven. And again, if I go back to support and go to documentation, if you want to learn more about the signal blocker, then let's click on BloodHound. And right, we can see this BloodHound reference section menu down here. If we scroll down, you can see here's the confidence solvers. And if I keep going down, there's the logic nodes, but I want the function nodes, right? So the signal blocker was listed under the function nodes. So let's go to the signal blocker node right there. Go to that page. There you go. Signal blocker. So there's a lot more about the signal blocker that, you know, I don't have time to explain, but here is the video. That will explain to you all the settings and all the options that are in that signal blocker. And so you can watch this video here. So, oh, and also, and wait, there's more. The SI time block indicator, the SI time block. So let's see, let's go back to support, documentation, and you'll see here there's a listing for other indicators. So there's the time block one, so I click on that, and there you go. It takes me to the time block page, and wouldn't you know it, there's a video on this guy too. So here you go. You can watch this video, and this will explain to you yeah, all the capabilities of the time block indicator. You know, how you can use it on the chart, you know, for just some visual, you know, identifications of what period of time you're in, whatever, how you can use it in BloodHound, you know, all those different bool series that were available in BloodHound. All right, so that video will, let's open up BloodHound here. So, yeah, here's the threshold solver with the time block indicator. Right, so you notice the time block has all of these different bool series. So that video will explain what each of these do here, right? So, and it'll also go through and explain all the different settings here. So, all right, so that's how you can get to all the videos specifically on those items there. Well, all right. I don't see any other questions. So, okay. I guess that'll wrap this one up then. All right. Well, thanks, guys. And remember, tomorrow is the Blackbird workshop. You guys are welcome to attend. Even if you don't own Blackbird and you just like to take a look at what it is, you can jump in tomorrow's Blackbird workshop. Not a problem. All right. So with that, let me just remind you guys, it's always handy to email your questions in ahead of time. That's always good to do. You can also attach screenshots, you know, to your email to help explain your idea as well. So that's another good reason to email your questions in for these workshops. So, and just let Mike know that you want your question answered in the workshop if you're going to do that. So, okay, guys, if I don't see you tomorrow, then have a good weekend and see you next week. All right, bye-bye, guys.